start with yours.
Yeah.
So we have Coach DK here. We have Albany back home, Albany. Mike, if you want to go first.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Dwayne, just to start, obviously, a competitive, like, opening 10 minutes. So what did you see that, just kind of it seemed to unravel there late first half and really carry into the second?
Yeah, we talked about trying to put pressure on Georgetown. I thought it was a game we could definitely compete in. Our two most competitive guys, DeMar Langford and Byron Joshua, were not available, and I thought we had the energy early, and I thought when they punched back, we kind of unraveled. I thought we lost the spirit that we wanted to have, and a big part to it was, we were changing defenses. They finally got a good rhythm on that, and then I thought they started to overplay, and we stopped sharing the ball. We had 9 turnovers at halftime. We were just dribbling way too much, and they took advantage of it, and they went on a run. And then the second half, I thought they came out ready to go, which I expected, and then we kind of quit. I thought our competitive energy was not where we wanted it to be.
Mike, do you have any more questions?
With DeMar and Byron, I guess just what is their status?
Yeah, they're day to day. Byron's a shoulder injury he had during the American game. Somebody landed on him. He thought he was going to be able to play and just couldn't do it during shoot around. DeMar turned an ankle in practice. Unfortunately went down. And then today, ironically, Amari and Amir were game time decisions. Luckily, they were able to play. I thought Amir played really well. We're optimistic we can get Byron and DeMar back for Wednesday's game versus Columbia.
Mike?
Was DeMar, was he with you guys?
No, we left him back in Albany, and he was with PT over the last couple of days.
Mike?
And then, I think you said, you felt like the team quit there, I'm assuming you mean early second half. How does a team try to recover from having that happen in a game?
Yeah, I think their spirits were high. I thought they believed. I thought we came out ready to go. Kanai was playing on the ball some. I thought he got fatigued. And then I think they were a little surprised that, Georgetown dialed it up, and we tried to warn them for it. But when it happens, it puts you on your heels, and you got to respond to it. And I don't think we responded the right way. You play these games, one, you want to rise to the level. But two, you got to learn from it. And, we have a couple more high major games, but to be honest with you, the Columbia game is going to be really, really hard. So I think we're learning how to compete at the right level. I think the one thing that troubles us, a lot, Mike, is that our identity and our energy comes from the ball goes in the basket. When it doesn't, I don't think we have the grit that we need right now.
Mike?
Yeah, you said, you want to learn from something like this. I guess, what would you want that lesson to be, for this group tonight?
Yeah, I think, one, you got to compete every possession. Two, you got to adjust to how the game's played. Three, you got to execute. There were some possessions where we were hanging around in the game, and we botched some plays. You can't do that. You just can't give possessions back because they're priceless in these games.
Any final questions, Mike?
You're good. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
For you were talking about the second half and the start of that. Did you see anything different other than them just being maybe a little more tuned in?
Yeah, I thought they were more dialed in. I've been on the other side of the games before, and I think sometimes when you play the bye games, your guys, they come in, they feel like they can just kind of turn it on and do what they need to do. And then, all of a sudden, especially coming out of the locker room after halftime, after spirited conversations, guys focus a little bit more. They're a little bit crisper in their passing and what they need to do. And then they get the energy behind the bench and the crowd. And, they got a couple lobs, got a couple breakouts, and it's hard to come back from that.
And the work that Peavy was able to do from them, just kind of disrupting you guys on the defensive end,
Yeah.
the blocks and the steals. Just, I know that's indicative of what he's done all year, but what have you kind of seen from him with Phil, and then obviously that?
Yeah, he's got great size at his position. I think not only can he make shots on the perimeter, but he can guard guys. Amari Marshall was, all-league player for us. He can really break guys down. He's had big games against, Seton Halls of the world and whatever have you. I thought what he did is when we tried to isolate him, he crawled underneath him and turned him over on the ball. And that kind of spooked him, Amari, and that, disrupted us. We need Amari to score the ball. I think, Pete, when you look at your team with Georgetown, you have a lot of really young prospects, and then he's a seasoned guy. And I think he's the connector, for them in a lot of ways, because I think, Malik and Thomas get all the praise and conversation, rightfully so. But I think if you're going to win games, you need PV to be really good.
Hey, Coach, you talked about the ball sticking a bit. Was that just, you feel like was the guys trying to do a little too much when the game's flow changed? or do you think it was something Georgetown was doing, or a combination of the two?
Yeah, I'd say a combination of two. I think, our guys wanted to kind of make a home run play to get us back. I think their intentions were in the right spot. And then I thought, what they were doing was they started to kind of get into the ball and then also overplay a little bit. So now you can't reverse the ball and run your offense. So now guys put their head down and try to drive it. And then now you talk about size, and we haven't played against, guys that size so far this season. So now all of a sudden you can't make the reads that you want. And I thought that just kind of frustrated us and made us kind of stagnant.
18 free throw attempts in the first half
Yeah.
for you guys. What was working with your aggression that was allowing you to get rewarded by going to the free throw line?
Yeah, we drove the ball. We talked about, hey, we're going to go after these guys, and we want to try to drive it, get guys in foul trouble, try to get PV out, try to get Sorber out, and it was working to an extent. And then I thought they made it harder for us to drive. They crowded the paint. They were helping off. They got into the ball a little bit more. We got some calls. Earlier I thought we had a couple that we needed to go our way that didn't. And I was proud that we, came in at halftime. We're 18 for 18 from the free throw line, so we managed the game pretty well from that respect. But then we turn it, and then we have some possessions where we break down, and then all of a sudden you're in a little bit more of a hole than we should have been.
Coach, being down a couple key guys, and then with the travel coming from Puerto Rico to Albany back down to DC to play your first-time major opponent, do you kind of just, with those factors going against you, do you kind of wash your hands of this one and move on to the next, or are there any big takeaways or lessons that you have from this one?
Yeah, I'm not a big excuse guy. The trip to Puerto Rico was great. Fortunately, we go 0-2 in teams in the DC metropolitan area. But, I thought we did some good things. I thought we recovered. And I said to our guys, like, whoever's available to play is going to play. And let's go after these guys. Let's try to get the game. A little disappointed by how it turned out. Now we got to take the bus right back, and we got to catch our breath and get ready for a really good Columbia team. But I think the biggest takeaway is no matter who you're playing, American, UMKC, Georgetown, Columbia, BU, you got to compete at a high level if you're going to try to win games.
You mentioned switching defenses. Do you normally involve that much 2-3 zone in your attack?
No, but we thought this kind of with the size, we wanted to try to give them a different look. And then I think Peavy's a good jump shooter. If you look at team-wise, they haven't found a way to make the shots I think that they want to make. I thought today, especially in the second half, they found a way to make them. Malik buried some, PV buried some. So we wanted to try to, force them to beat us from the perimeter. And I thought we got some stops, and then we lost PV a couple of times. It really hurt us in the second half.
Speaking of PV's defense, it was sublime. It was excellent. But he also QB'd the team somewhat.
Yeah.
Particularly from the elbow. Did you anticipate that, and what was your response?
Yeah, a couple actions that we anticipated, playing through the elbows, kind of zoom pin DHOs, or kind of throwing it over the top to Sorber. And we talked about impacting the ball and really heating it up and trying to get him on his heels. Easier said than done. He's a good player, strong kid. He's very poised, very seasoned, and we couldn't turn him over the way, or I shouldn't say turn him over, but disrupt him the way we talked about.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
John Titel from Hoops HD. Coach, even missing Byron and DeMar, you had 14 steals. Is it that Georgetown was a little sloppy, you think, or are you just an elite defensive team, not when keeping them under 100 points, obviously, but in terms of stealing the ball? I wasn't very impressed.
Yeah, it wasn't as elite from a points perspective. I think it's credit to the coaching staff. We went through their actions a lot. I think our guys kind of got a beat on the ball. And sort of understand when to anticipate some things, and I thought we were on our toes. And I think that's a big thing. I do think they run really good offense, but some of it I think you can kind of sniff it out a little bit at this point in the year. So I thought we found a way to disrupt them and turn them over at some times. And you got to fly around a little bit, but I think you can kind of anticipate where some of the ball is going to go. But unfortunately, we just don't have the size both to impact the ball on the perimeter without DeMar and then inside the paint. So I think eventually they broke us down.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.